The succession battle at the International Pentecostal Holiness Church is returning to court this morning. Tumza mentioned it in the headlines. Officials are on high alert as congregants are expected to picket outside the High Court in Pretoria. Well, let's head over to Slindelo Masikane, senior reporter who's following this for us. And it is such a complicated story, Slee, to understand what the issue was back in the day and exactly what this fight is about. It comes down to leadership, but just provide us some background as you tell us what it looks like ahead of today.
Certainly so, Gareth. We find ourselves outside the North Gauteng High Court, where we are expecting thousands of the IPHC members to congregate here. And of course, like you said, we've got a leadership succession battle, essentially, that's going to resume here in the North Gauteng High Court. It's been much anticipated, and of course, a lot has happened prior to the resumption of the particular trial. I'm going to ask them to just show you. We are contending unfortunately with the rain, but that certainly hasn't deterred the hundreds of IPHC members who have gathered here. And of course, because this matter is around leadership, we have three denominations of this particular church that are going to congregate here. We've got the Zirbokom denomination, the Jerusalem denomination, as well as one in Tepiso. Now you can see that already some people have started gathering. Some are trying to find shelter inside court because of the rain, but the road just outside the High Court, the Madiba Street, has been cordoned off, and essentially adjacent roads around the courthouse, there's quite a bit of traffic. In fact, the TMPD is trying to control the traffic, but we are expecting even more members to come and gather outside here, which is why, in fact, the street has been cordoned off. But essentially, this leadership succession began back in 2016 when the leader of the church, Mulise, passed away, and unfortunately, it seems he did not have a succession plan or a will in place, which has now resulted in his three sons essentially now fighting for control of the church. So we are expecting court proceedings to start at around 10 a.m. this morning. And of course, we are expecting members to be gathered out here singing in terms of their different denominations in support of their leaders.
And we know as well that there's been issues regarding security before, and thankfully it's only words that have been exchanged. But there's always a concern when it comes to leadership within these churches, Slee, that things could very well turn violent. So are we expecting heightened security today, or is it run-of-the-mill security at the court so far?
Certainly so. We are expecting heightened security. In fact, the control in terms of entry and exit already has been tightened. And you'd remember there was that very unfortunate incident that took place at the Zirbokom branch, where there was essentially a gun battle and lives were lost, people were injured, and essentially, of course, there's going to be a very high security detail in terms of the leaders that are expected here as well. We know that in terms of the value in which the former leader had left behind, this church is worth around 400 million rand, and it's got thousands of supporters, not only locally but across the borders as well. So it's going to be a case that's going to be watched with the keen interest to see exactly how the court rules on this matter and exactly who is the rightful leader of the IPHC.
And we'll come back to you again a little bit later as well. It's not difficult at all to find information about this church. If you go back to March of 2022 as well, it looks like there were some battles spilling out onto the streets as well. This was back in 2022, so it's an ongoing issue. Slee, and you're going to bring us the very latest later in the morning when it gets underway at the North Gauteng High Court with Slindelo Masikane, eNCA reporter.